Hey guys, Steven here for a quick video on installing a new shift boot in your Nissan 240sx. This is an S13, I believe it's in 1990. And when I got this car, it had a really crappy shift boot in it. It was actually a blue shift boot that someone had painted black. So I ended up just throwing that away and I ordered a new one, and I'm going to show you guys how you install it right now. So this is my current situation. I have taken out the shift boot already, and I was just running it without one because honestly it looked better without a shift boot. And so the first thing that you're going to want to do is this panel actually just pulls up. So if you pull it up there, and then there's one there, and one there. So there's 6 clips on it, and it should just pop off like pretty easily. If it doesn't, just give it a tug. There's one clip missing right here on mine, so you can see those 6 clips right there. They just go into those 6 locations. So here's the back of the panel. I have it on my workbench now, and what you'll notice here is there's actually 4 screws that will hold in your shift boot, and they go right here, right here, right here, and right here. I've taken the courtesy of already taking those out, and this is the part that your shift boot's actually going to go on. Now, this is the shift boot that I got. I got it from, let's see, cover my address here. Auto Guru. Yeah, on Amazon. I'll leave a link to it below, and you can pick one of these up yourself. It actually looks pretty good quality. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with the purchase. It comes with slits in it already to fit into this plastic trim piece. So yeah, I'll get it on there, and then I'll show you guys where to go from there. So I've gotten the shift boot on here, and it just goes through these pre-cut holes. And one thing you'll actually notice is it's actually sided. The way that the material is cut, it's cut with like a bulge here and an inlet. I don't know. A different side on the other side, and that's actually sided. So when you put this on, you'll notice that one side is longer from the front to the tab than the other, so just make sure you have that on the right way before you actually put it on there. Also, make sure that you put it on so that the bottom of the shift boot is with these holes. What we're going to do now is we're going to actually mark those holes out, and then we're just going to use a standard punch and a big hammer to make the holes for these, and then that way this shift boot can slip onto these holes and it won't come off. The other thing that's on there is these little tabs. These will be on your shift boot, so you just take these tabs off, you'll put the fabric through there, and then push the tabs back on. And one thing to note on these is when you're taking off the little metal tabs, you should be really careful. I ended up breaking a couple off because the plastic gets really brittle and these metal tabs are really quite on there. So just be really careful when you take those off to put them back on the other side. You're gonna put it back through, and it's gonna be kind of hard at first to push it back through because there is actually a groove here that you're gonna push it into. But go ahead and push it down, and once you get it seated, you'll know that it's seated, and just throw the screws back in there. So after you've done that, this is what you'll end up with. Just a note on these, the threads for the screws here are plastic, so be careful when you're tightening them back down because they do strip fairly easily. You'll see I broke a number of those little pins that come out due to them being plastic, and so it didn't get held on fully, but it should be fine. It's being held on by the groove and by the screws as well as the clips, so it should be fine. And that's that, so I'll show you putting it back. To reinstall, what you're gonna wanna do is make sure that you have your shift knob off of it. And then you're gonna come around to your boot, and you're actually gonna flip it inside out. It's a little bit hard with one hand. But once you flip it inside out, then you can take it and you can put it on. And I can't quite get it on. But what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna put it on, and then you're gonna wanna zip tie the end of the boot right up against the bottom of this. That way, when you put your shift knob on, your shift knob will go all the way up against your shift boot. So I'll come back when it's done because it's kind of impossible with one hand. So one thing that you will want to note when you zip tie this on is you probably want to put the zip tie towards the back and cut it as short as possible, just because when you do invert the boot, you might see a little bit of it depending on how big your shift knob is. And so you're gonna want to take your console plate and then push in the center first, and then go about doing the top, and then push in the rear. And the reason for that is the center one will kind of line up the top and bottom. Next, you can kind of push your boot down. This car does have a short shifter in it, so it is going to sink a little bit in. There's not really much you can do with that. You can make the boot a little bit smaller if you want, or you can try and find one that's made for a short shifter kit, but this is how it's going to be if you get a regular boot. If you do have a little bit of a crease like this, you can kind of pull it around and like distribute it a little bit more evenly, and I'll show you that. I ended up pulling it around a little bit, and you'll see that this is a little bit better and it's a little bit more on the other edges. And this bump right here is what I was talking about with this with the zip tie end. Now this knob is going to get replaced because it isn't actually the right size threads for this application, but that's how it's going to look once it's all finished. So thank you guys for watching. I hope this helped you guys in some way. It's a very simple job to do. Like I said, I'll leave the link down in the description for the shift boot that I used. I would recommend it. It looks pretty nice in there. It seems pretty high quality, and I like that it comes pre-cut for the slits for this application. It also came in 3 days during the whole COVID pandemic, so it was a pretty quick ship. So yeah, I definitely recommend it. And if you need to get a shift boot, if you need to put a new shift boot in your car, it's not a hard job. I would just go ahead, order one. I think it was like 20 bucks or something like that, and it does change the whole look and feel of your center console.